we have some, I'm going to introduce Roberto in a second, but I am from Austin, Texas. I grew up down the street. I went to Fillmore, I went to LBJ, and being part of ATX DAO is very exciting to me because I think Austin has an opportunity to be at the forefront of a new industry, and I'm excited that everybody is here to learn a little bit more and discuss. So without further ado, Roberto, he is the head of membership of the ATX DAO. Let him talk.
Thank you, thank you. Well, thanks everyone for coming to our ATX DAO event. And you're going to be hearing this term DAO, DAO, DAO everywhere. And so I'm going to spend about 30 seconds, 45 seconds explaining to you, for those of you that are not very familiar with the term. So DAO it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which is a bunch of crypto lingo, mumbo jumbo to say, essentially is an internet native organization that is owned by its members and is also managed by its members. So think of it like an REI, but like in the internet. And REI, as you know, is like a customer cooperative organization that is entirely owned by its customers, and it serves its customers as well. And its entire purpose is to just fulfill the need of its members. That's what a DAO is, but in the internet. So out there's a bunch of different kinds of DAOs. There's investment DAOs that entirely focus on pooling a bunch of funds together to make investments. There's social DAOs that entirely focus on building an experience for their members. And there's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In our case, ATX DAO is considered a city DAO. And even though we're still an organization that kind of lives on the internet and operates on the internet, all of our members are geographically located in the city. So that's what we're calling ourselves, a city DAO. And the beginning of ATX DAO was incredibly organic. You know, it was just me and 7 other dudes just getting together and talking about crypto. And my wonderful wife was very appreciative of that because she was just getting fed up with all my crypto talk at the end of the day. So I found this group of guys that I could just talk crypto with all the time. And as this group started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, we realized that we had this opportunity to create the strongest, one of the strongest crypto networks in the city. And so that's what we started doing. We started fostering a community of people that are very interested in the industry, or like worked in the industry, or that were just curious about the industry. And as we started growing this community, started nourishing this community, and just adding more and more members, we realized that the members that were coming in were very intelligent when it comes to the technology and the things that you could do with this new industry and the benefits that it brings to a lot of the city. So it became incredibly evident for us that we can at some point share all this knowledge with the broader Austin community in order to start pushing the city towards becoming and getting on board into this new digital economy. And that's when the vision of ATX DAO really started to click in, right? ATX DAO is an organization that is focusing on building the strongest network of crypto professionals and enthusiasts with the goal of pushing Austin and becoming one of the leading cities in the Web3 economy. What does that mean? What we're trying to do here is essentially help the artist community in Austin, explore what they can do with digital art and NFTs. If there's a local business out there that is crypto curious, that has no idea how to use this technology to leverage and improve their business, we would love to be an organization that can help them get onboarded into this whole economy. And lastly, we would love to act as a source of knowledge for our local government to help everyone just craft legislation that can foster and boost a very strong crypto industry here in the city. And you see Miami, they're trying to do it, and New York is trying to do it, and San Francisco tried and massively failed. So why not Austin? Why can Austin become the first legitimate crypto city? And that's what we're here to do, and that's what we're here to help out if possible.
Thank you, Roberto. All right, so we have some VIPs in the house. Many people are aware. The first speaker of the night will be Senator Sarah Eckhart. Where are you at?
It is great being here with you all. I am your state senator. I represent the city of Austin, most of Travis County, and for right this instant, also all of Bastrop County. After redistricting, I will be pushed entirely into Travis County. That's one of the downfalls of redistricting. So it's really, really important that you all gather. It's really, really important that you all bring your skill set to manage how we govern ourselves in the state of Texas. It's extremely important that we have y'all's talents pushing on state government to innovate. We do not have a lot of innovation, and there's a lot of disincentive to innovate at the state level. We have a massive imbalance of power entrenched in an old view that is a process that is unfair, inefficient, and expensive, and doesn't deliver services to people. So we need you all to help us reimagine how we prioritize and how we deliver public service to real human beings. Can y'all help me with that? I would be deeply appreciative, as I know the other elected officials and candidates in this room would be deeply appreciative. I figure y'all want to be here because you want to see actual change happen in real people's lives, yeah? I mean, crypto is so important because it forces us to imagine our value system and prioritize it using a crowdsourcing technique that is available to us for the first time in human history, right? So we should be applying this to democracy. A democracy is a perfect governmental institution in which to grow this concept for the benefit of people, real human beings. So please reach out, teach me, and tell me what you can bring to our state's table to innovate. I do coffee jolts, usually the third Thursday, but sometimes because of COVID, the last Thursday of the month. So on the 24th, I've been doing them by Zoom because of COVID, but we're returning to in-person. We'll Facebook it live, but we'll also have it in person at Thunderbird Coffee. Which Thunderbird are we going to be at? I'll have to take a look. But do come, please teach me and help me manage the change that the state really needs to see. I really could use your help. And the coffee jolt's going to be at the Manor Thunderbird. Yes, come on over. Share a cup of coffee. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I know that's brutal. It's brutal for me. But we'll have coffee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Next, we have Representative Gina Hinojosa.
Thank you. I'm Representative Gina Hinojosa. I represent this part of Austin. You just heard from our senator in the lesser house, in the Senate. I represent the Texas House, and it runs the Lamar corridor. I-35 is the eastern boundary. MOPAC is the western boundary. It's a pleasure to be here and meet you all. I too want to learn. So I was just having this conversation with someone at lunch today. I came up into politics through organizing. And in organizing, the premise behind organizing is this: there's two kinds of power. There's organized people and organized money. And you all are creating here, I mean, I don't know how much money you got, but you all are at least creating the power of organized people. Senator Eckhart talked about an entrenchment that happens in government that doesn't allow us to innovate. And part of that entrenchment, quite frankly, there's no other word to call it but corruption. There are certain pay-to-play companies that get contracts, and you know, when we all get frustrated that government doesn't work effectively, efficiently, a lot of that has to do with corruption. Let's just call it what it is. We went a year ago this week, we went for days without electricity in the state of Texas. That was all about corruption. In fact, I wanted this to be our backdrop right here for this talk, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. And for me, that's what's exciting about this movement. It's a movement of people who create power by organizing. And so yes, please teach me, and please be a part of that change. Let's democratize our democracy a lot better than it is, and make sure that the government is working for people. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have another speaker. fresh off a packed Mohawk event for Texas 35 and former City Council member Greg Assar.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I guess Gomez is right next. My bad. Margaret Gomez, the #1 Austin native. Been same middle school legend.
Thanks so much. I'm very pleased that y'all have invited me, including me to be here today. I too want to learn from you about this. I read a little bit, but you know, I've been concentrating on other things lately. But I'm looking forward, and I think I've talked to some of you today that we all need to get on the same page. And yes, we're all about serving people, and especially that's where I'm coming from, to serve people. And my model were my parents. They gave to the community, even though we didn't have a whole lot of money, but they gave their time. And so to me, that's what it's all about. And I think I've talked to some of you. I represent Southeast Travis County, south of the river, west of Lamar, all the way to the county line, south and east. We have a lot of artists in my community, musicians, artists, and very talented people. But they too cannot stay in Austin very long, and we need to make sure that they're here. We just left a strategic planning session today at the county, and we talked about that we did not need to lose people simply because of racial, ethnic background, or economic background. And so I'm really looking forward to some new ideas so that, yes, we can be on the same page and we can empower the people. And so that's what we're all about, and I'm here to help you do that. Thank you so much. There's one other little thing. It's like, who says that I don't have anything in common with young people? We grew up in the same neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. And I already gave you an introduction, Greg. There you go.
Good evening. How are y'all doing? Good. So I'm Greg Gassad, and I've had the honor the last 7 years of serving on the City Council. Just had my last meeting last week, and just really want to be here to be so grateful to you all for your support and for what everybody has been through these last few challenging years. Before I give my remarks, I do want to give a shout out to Silvio Orozco and Mexicate here for being our host. Thank you for having us. And to me, this space that we're in and people gathering to make things better is at the heart of what I've been most grateful for being a council member, and it's really what drives and inspires me in this race for the United States Congress. This congressional race, it's the first time that there's really an open seat for a new member of Congress from Austin, Texas, since I was 4 years old. And so much has happened since then, so much has happened just in the last few years. And while folks say that it has been hard and in many ways it has been tragic, at the same time I've been so inspired by what the people of this city are capable of doing and who it is that we are. And I see that and feel that in this room today, even just stepping and walking and people pulling each other aside, talking about how we can make things better, how it is that we can make things more democratic, how it is we can do things as a collective. And that's what has saved lives in this community. You may not know, but actually in Austin, Texas, it has been horrible. Many of us have lost loved ones, people have gotten sick, but in this community, we have had half the death rate of the state of Texas. And if the state of Texas had been more like how it turned out here, thousands of people would still be with us today. And I don't actually fully credit that to any particular policies, any particular business. I credit it to the spirit of this city, of people saying, even when it feels like it's going to hell, in Austin, we take care of each other. I saw that in the winter storm, which we are at the 1-year anniversary of, when we had seniors that we were pulling out of senior homes who had no water. It was freezing cold. We had bus drivers coming in, leaving their families where they may not have had water at home, to put folks on their Capital Metro buses to take them to Northeast High School, where there weren't blankets. And when we put the call out on Facebook, people who didn't have power themselves but had spare blankets walked through the snow together to go keep people alive. That's who we are as Austin, Texas. That's who we are as this city. When we had a pandemic, an economic collapse, an economic insecurity, this community came together and we said, we still need a mass transit system. And not only do we still need a mass transit system, we need an investment like nowhere else in the history of the country to make sure people can afford to live alongside a subway system and rail lines. Everywhere else in the country that was thinking about doing something like this pulled it down, backed out, chickened out. And last year in November, an overwhelming mandate of people said, we're going to invest in ourselves, we're going to create jobs here, we're going to innovate here, we're going to address the climate crisis, we're going to address people being stuck in traffic, we're going to keep people together in this city. And overwhelmingly, there was no other city in the country that did this in the pandemic. We said we're going to put together a multi-billion-dollar transportation system so that people can be connected and live here together. That's what our democracy did. That's who it is that we are. And to me, it's that same spirit that I urge y'all to hold on to remember what brought you here today as you start this awesome enterprise that I know is about 6 months old. But y'all being able to come together, just remembering that about our city, remembering why we got started in the first place. Because I think about that when I was on city council. Why are we here in the first place after a 15-hour meeting arguing about all sorts of things? It's because at the end of the day, we just care so damn much about one another and the future of this city. And just the minds that I've met having my taco and trying to get over to the beer line and having trouble getting there is that there's just incredible people in this room who are going to come up with the ideas that push us further to be able to care for one another better. Because together, really, that's how we save lives, and that's how we close inequality, and that's how we address the climate crisis and make our democracy work for us here in Texas, in a place where, as the prior elected officials so laid out, it has not been working, but we have to make it work. There is no choice but to make it work for people. And so thank you all so very much for having me, and I'm just so inspired by each and every one of you and your efforts. Thanks.
Okay, I was just informed that we have another special guest here, County Judge Andy Brown. Howdy. The floor is yours.
All right. Thanks. So, the Travis County Judge is the worst named thing in Texas. I'm not actually a judge. I'm one of 5 folks who run your county government. So it's kind of like a little bit like mayor of the county. The 5 of us vote on the $1.2 billion that we get from your property taxes, whether you're a renter or an owner. And we do things like we fund the jail, some of the mental health work, parks, transportation in the county, things like that, the criminal justice system. And I'm also the emergency manager, so that when the place freezes or we get COVID, things like that, I work with our emergency operations center to try to keep us safe. So I'll give y'all two quick things. I'm on the ballot. I'm not actually opposed in the primary, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I would still love your vote. You don't really have a choice, honestly. So 2 things I've done. One is, if you can remember back last January, when nobody had a vaccine, everybody wanted a vaccine really badly. I got together with so I'm a Democrat, I got together with the Republican county judge in Bastrop County, the Republican in Caldwell County, and another Democrat in Hayes County. And we banded together with Constable Morales and some other folks, and we said, hey, if we're able to put together a mass vaccination drive-through at Circuit of the Americas, state of Texas, will you give us more vaccines? And they said, okay, maybe. We'll give you 3,000 for this weekend. We got those out flawlessly. They ended up giving us about 200,000 more vaccines for the community over that whole process. And that, I think, was the favorite thing that I've done so far, is that it was a thing that didn't pay attention to partisan politics. Got to work with people like Vanessa, who I see back there, Gina. We had 3,000 volunteers out there at Circuit of the Americas. It was a great community effort when we really needed to come together as a community. Right now, what we're working on is trying to make it a little bit easier to build housing in Travis County. Some people will say it takes something like 18 months if you want to build, like a subdivision to house, say, Tesla workers in eastern Travis County. We're trying to shrink that time to a fraction of that. We're looking at ways to get third-party review to make that go quicker to help with affordability. But really the reason why I ran for county judge is because we are not doing enough for mental health and behavioral health in our community. Right now, you've got about almost 1,900 people, actually, I think just over 1,900 people in the county jail right now. Again, paid for by your tax dollars. Of those 1,900 people, about 800 or 900 of them have a mental health designation of some sort. And so, in my opinion, we're really failing those 900 people in particular by not having reached them earlier with mental health resources, substance use disorder resources, and others, so that they don't end up just going to jail, circling back out on the streets. So that's what I'm working on. Would love to have y'all's help, maybe help these other folks during the primary, and then I will see you after that. But thanks, Nate, for having me here, and happy to talk to y'all afterwards. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. We got one more speaker, Jacob. Jacob Smith and Nate Walker have been integral in helping put this event together, so if everyone gets given a little round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Here we go.
Thank you all for being here. We don't deserve the round of applause, but all of these elected officials here and candidates deserve the round of applause. I don't think you all realize what they've gone through and given up to be here. It's early voting right now. There's events everywhere. For them to be here is a huge, huge deal. And especially to show up to a brand new group here in Austin. So it shows the commitment that they all have for public service. When Kyle sat down at my kitchen table and said, look, I've got this group, ATX DAO, I first said, well, what is that? And then after he schooled me for a while, I said, okay, well, why are you telling me? And he said, well, we want to get involved in the community. And we want to give back to the community. Unlike other DAOs, we want to be inclusive. We don't want to be this exclusive group that only wealthy people can join and we're all worried about making money. We want to give back to the community. We want to push Austin into the future, but also make sure that we care about and foster all the folks that made Austin what it is. And that's something that not a lot of people are doing here. There's extreme growth in this community, but not a lot of people remember who made this community cool. And the policies that kept this community beautiful and awesome. So I think you've got a tremendous group of people from various backgrounds. And when Kyle told me that y'all's vision was to include more folks from the community and educate the community and bring them up, I said, I'm in. First thing I did was enlist Nate Walker because Nate grew up here and he knows every elected official here. He's probably worked on their campaign. There's a lot of great candidates here. So we wanted to have some of the already electeds speak, but we don't want to forget about all the other people who are giving their time, who could be out campaigning. And I really want to push for all of you to get to know these folks and find out how you can help them. They're going to learn from us just as much as we're going to learn from them. So we're learning from y'all how to help the community, just have y'all have done over the years. And we want to be a resource for helping you figure out what a DAO is. And then go into further policy and crypto and how we can help each other grow. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Nate Walker here, and we're going to recognize some of the other folks here in the room that you didn't meet already. So I appreciate you all for being here.
All right, well, the first thing we can do is we can all go to the polls. Early voting has already started. It runs through February 25th, and then election day is March 1st. Most of the great folks that you've heard from today are going to appear on the Democratic primary ballot, so I encourage you to go vote for all these great folks. If we could give one more quick round of applause for all of our speakers collectively, that would be State Senator Sarah Eckhart, State Representative Gina Hinojosa, County Commissioner Margaret Gomez, former City Council member and TX 35 candidate Greg Kassar, and our County Judge Andy Brown. All right, we're also honored to have with us tonight my favorite City Council member, District 2, Vanessa Fuentes.
We have
believe, City Council Member District 4, Chito Vela. I'm not sure if he's still around. But let's give him a round of applause. All right, we have our candidate for, two candidates, I'm sorry, for State Representative, House District 51. First, I'll introduce my good friend, Lulu Flores. Another friend and also running for House District 51 is Cynthia Valadez Mata Jr. I also see for County Clerk, Democratic candidate Kurt Lockhart. We also have for City Council District 9, Zoe Kadri. If I'm missing anybody, please raise your hand.